Hey, everybody. Welcome to the first ever Sordward and Shielbert spectacular podcast following the 5S Pokemon Draft League. I'm your commissioner and coach of the Boston Braviaries, Ryan.
Oh, I'm the coach of the Waco Caesars.
I'm the coach of the Montreal Milotics.
And this is our, like I said, first ever podcast. So we'll be breaking down like what the league's all about and everything. We had our first season a few months ago. It was great. We had 10 awesome teams. We got season 2 coming up in a couple weeks. We're up to 16 teams now. So huge growth. And we'll get into that a little bit down in the podcast later. But first off, for those who don't know what a Pokemon Draft League is, think about it as like a fantasy sports league. I'm sure most of our audience is familiar with that. And basically you take every individual Pokemon, so Charmander, Bulbasaur, Pikachu, Togepi, you got Ditto, you throw all them in a pool, and let's say Tom and the Montreal Milotics have the first pick. They pick Charmander. Now no one else can pick Charmander. He's out of the pool.
Strong.
And I have the second pick. I'm like, oh, Charmander, I'm going with Blastoise because for one, I actually know good Pokemon. So I'm not picking a stage 1, and I'm going to beat Tom every time. So I pick a water type. He's fire type. And then Josh has the third pick. He's like, oh, I'm smarter than all of y'all. I'm going to pick Ditto because now I have every Pokemon that you pick. And it keeps going, and eventually you have all the Pokemon gone, yada, yada, and then everyone has their 10 Pokemon. That's how our league works. 10 Pokemon that only they have. And every week they have to pick 6 of those Pokemon to bring to battle. So you have 10 on your team and you pick 6 to battle. And you do a regular season. We do 8 games for our regular season paired up against the different coaches, best of 1. And then after those 8 weeks, the top 10 teams go to a playoff bracket with the top 6 out of those 10 having a bye week. So it's kind of like, rewards you for doing well. You make the playoffs, you get an extra week to prepare and everything. And from there, it's a playoff bracket. Go to the finals, becomes a best of 3, and you become a champion if you win that. See that? See, I win my own league. Didn't mean to. I didn't want to. But, son, I have scrub coaches. Yeah, anybody got anything to add on what the whole draft league experience is like?
Makes me feel honored to be a part of this league. For that introduction.
Josh, you wanted to say something?
No.
Cool. All right. So, like I said, we had our first season just a few months ago. Again, spoiler alert. You can see that it's backwards on the camera, but spoiler alert. So, kind of going down on that, I was hoping that the coach of the Detroit Steelix, Devin, would be on this podcast, because can we just talk about how fucking busted his team was? Tom, what do you think about Devin's team? Rattle off a couple of his Pokemon that he had, his beaters.
Well, so his three Pokemon core was kind of like Gmax Lapras, Dracovish, and then Mimikyu. And Gmax Lapras and Mimikyu were kind of like the 2 biggest beaters. Mimikyu being the MVP of the season after we all kind of voted. But what I noticed, the worst thing for me was actually his Umbreon and those confusions.
Oh,
That's what kept me out of the finals.
Of Umbreon set. So
I think
you're looking at these 3 glass cannon beaters, and then maybe you'll take out 2 of them, and then this Umbreon comes in and just like whittles down your team for the last one.
Yeah, it was just a really easy switch in for him, right? So if you tried to put something up that was going to threaten his Dracovish, he was just able to change it to the Umbreon. He was kind of able to slow down the tempo of the game, throw out confusion, and then also kind of moonlight and really slow down the game. He landed 3 out of 4 confusions in a row, which was really fun.
Yeah, that's how you lost your playoff game against him, right?
Yeah.
You beat him in the regular season. You were the only team that beat him in the regular season.
Yeah, I got a nice surprise. I finally learned how to play my Dusclops, and I just pain split and ran out the clock on his Gmax Lapras. So it was fun.
I think I think the Detroit Steelix were the only team that I didn't play at all in the first season.
Yeah. Since last season, since there were 10 teams and we played 8 games, there was one team for each team that they didn't play. So yeah, that probably was one team that you didn't play.
Yeah,
I remember the one team I didn't play was the Charm City Charizards, and well, they changed their name to the Mississippi.
But then you played them in the beginning of the playoffs, so you still got your.
Yeah, but I played them first round in the playoffs and beat them. But
yeah, the one team that I didn't play was actually our last seed, whatever the last seed was.
The Mighty Psyducks.
Yeah.
Yeah, so. Mighty Psyducks. Yeah, good team.
I guess I was one game away from playing the Detroit Steelix, but that was the game against the Montreal Maletics in the playoffs.
Yeah, true.
A rematch.
You guys didn't get to really talk about your playoff battle, there in the first round. Was there anything like interesting you guys want to talk about that? Because my finals battle against Devin in the Steelix is recorded, so that's like everyone can see that.
I don't know if there's anything interesting about it, but I do think like the Maletics were my first opponent in the regular season, and I lost, and also
I remember that. Good storyline.
Not that this is a very serious league. Sorry. I take it serious. I took it even less seriously at the beginning because I'm not really that competitive.
Okay, you turned it up like when you started doing well. Like once you were like, wow, I'm actually kind of doing well.
Yeah, and so I like literally just threw a team together. I didn't do any Pokemon breeding. I didn't like really pick any moves. It was just like, here's the Pokemon, I'm going to use them. And I lost horribly in that first match, and it wasn't like against the Maletics in that very first week. And I was like, whatever. But then I won that next week, and I started a fire, as they say. And then I lost horribly against Boston Braviaries. But I ended up with a
Scruffy Murphy
winning record, right? I think it was like 5-3. I think I ended up with like a 5-3 record for the regular season.
Actually, I think a lot of us at 5-3. I was 5-3. Tom was 5-3. You were 5-3. I think
I guess the best. I looked up our match, Josh, our final match in the. That was the match where I was using Excadrill against your Drifloom, and then you kept strength sapping it, and then and then I kept going Swords Dance, so I kept going up 2 stages of attack. You kept strength sapping to drop me down 1 step, but keep bringing your health up. So I think I just like Swords Dance like 4 or 5 times in the face of that. And
you did. I kept
-1 does not beat +2.
Yeah.
No, I kept strength sapping because I was expecting you to use an attack and not just keep Swords Dancing. So I was like, I'm gonna strength sap. You'll attack me.
Yeah. I outplayed that strategy.
Yeah, you did.
That same situation. I mean, we'll kind of like move on from this, but it reminds me of there was the playoff match between the Denver Ninetales and the Minnesota Nido-Kings. Nido-Kings had their I think it was either their Bishop or their Double-8, I forget. And it was like behind screens or something like that. Was their whole team. It was like, oh, get screens up and then Swords Dance up with one of these Pokemon, whatever, and go for a sweep with priority moves. So and Denver sent out their G-Max Appleton, so it was able to like take some hits and have like recover and everything, and so it wasn't like dying to the +2. So they kept like Swords Dancing up, but then they were getting special defense drops from Apple Acid. So eventually they killed it. Denver's last Pokemon was Claydol. Yeah, I think it was Double-8 because I remember it was a Shadow Sneak was the move. So he goes for like a +6 Shadow Sneak on the Claydol, which would OHKO, but the Claydol had Focus Sash, so it Earth Powered to kill him because he had like 2 special defense drops or whatever.
Oh, wow.
And then that was like the end of their match. But yeah, so that was season 1. Like I said, spoilers. Boston Braviaries defeated the Detroit Steelix season 1 champions, and we're gonna hold that for this whole season until the
playoffs when you lose.
Yeah. Oh, I know I'm gonna lose. For those who don't know, I got my first kid ever on the way. So if I win, it means that y'all put in less work than a person taking care of a newborn baby, which is a lot of work. I ain't got time to breed Pokemon when I'm breeding human beings. Know what I mean?
Wow.
Yeah. So going on to season 2. Season 1 was singles. Season 2, we're switching up. We're going to the doubles format. For those who play competitive VGC Pokemon video game championships, we're doing it a little bit differently. It still brings 6, but you fight with all 6. It's not, picking the 4. You kind of like take that little extra strategy out. I think the showing 6 but picking 4 is like a different layer of strategy, but we want our coaches to be able to use all 6 of their Pokemon. So that's an interesting idea, and we'll kind of get back to that because we got some questions in our mailbag segment that kind of go over that. But I want to talk about kind of like another new feature to our league is the ERC, or Emergency Rules Committee, which went over the rules document for this season. So the first season, I personally did the rules all by myself. But knowing that we were going from 10 teams to 16 teams, and this seemed like something that was going to stick around more than one season or so, I wanted to get like a whole team together. So Tom and Josh are actually part of this rules committee, and we kind of like formulated a draft and went over some of the rule sets, and we like tiered the Pokemon, because the way that we do a draft is we give each Pokemon a tier, S, A, B, C, and you have to pick a certain number of each of those. So we had like back and forth, like, oh, this Pokemon's not A tier, it's S tier. Oh, this is B or C, yada yada. Like, oh, this Pokemon should be on there. So, Tom, why don't you talk a little bit about that, because you kind of are a self-proclaimed doubles lover.
Well, I guess when it comes to like the rules committee, when it comes to doubles, we'll get to it later when we talk about kind of the effects that 6 as opposed to 4 have on it. But yeah, our first season singles, and you often find that, the most degenerate strategies are often ones that want to stall out. So, going into time kind of, isn't super fun.
For those who don't know, in Pokemon Sword and Shield Wi-Fi battles, you're stuck with a 20-minute timer. Mm-hmm. There's no way to get around that without, a lot of dumb stuff.
Well, especially, if you're playing like a more competitive singles, then you have a meta game, and you're playing the best Pokemon. So you're having the Pokemon that are dealing the most damage. You're having the strategies that are the most effective, that are going to get you your win as soon as you can. But when you're running with this like draft format, and you're kind of stuck with, so to say, like you get a couple of really good Mons, and then you have the rest of them that are kind of Pokemon that you're trying to make good. It makes it so you have to kind of play a different strategy than you would if you were just playing like metagame. And because of that, we've run into a lot of complications where just trying to switch around your Pokemon constantly to try to get the best situation that you can causes most of the games to go to time. Like, I know that
I wouldn't say most. Let's be honest. Out of like how many games, like we probably had like 100 games, or close to that for the first year. I think only like 4, maybe 5 actually timed it.
I was the biggest offender. Like I found that like I'm kind of like the common denominator, where it's like a lot of the games.
You timed out 2 or 3 times, and I timed out.
Yeah, and most of those games were because I was just trying to like switch into a good position. Because if I just didn't, I would just get blown out. So, but yeah, so that's where we'll talk about it more with doubles. But I'm very interested to see how that's going to affect a format that we're used to just playing with 4 Pokemon and then going to 6 Pokemon.
Yeah, that's true. Because you don't really have to worry about 20-minute time when there's only 4 Pokemon in doubles, like at all. Because sure, in competitive VGC, it's a strat to like, oh, timeout. Like, oh, this is my win con now, timeout and get. But we don't allow that in the draft league. If like you time out, even if the game says you're the winner, like that's what the ERC is for. Is
we're trying to evaluate like the game state too, because if you are actively stalling, and I think we'll probably do some sort of like, we'll check in with both of the coaches and be like, okay, tell me, did the other players seem like they were stalling, and we could use that as kind of like a swing vote, so to say.
Yeah, we're trying to that goes with like. In season 1, you're in my game timed out, Tom, but I had like body press, iron defense, Max Corviknight, who was out, and you had like your Exegil and a few others, and I had like another Pokemon or two in the back.
I was able to tell from the end of the game. I was like, you would have won the, and
yeah,
you
I
also
body pressed. Like even if you rock slide, you couldn't kill my Corviknight there, and then I just.
And that's why I was just like, you get the win.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. So we didn't bother with.
Mm-hmm.
It's obvious I was in that position.
Yeah, because I mean, if I can tell like which way the game's gonna go, I mean, it was funny because I was actually doing that with the Steelix, and our game ended where it was like 4 or 5 versus like 2 or 3 Pokemon. So like I was up like a substantial amount of Pokemon.
Yeah.
And, like he was ready to just kind of call it in my favor because I had gotten rid of his Mimikyu and I'd gotten rid of his Dracovish. So I got rid of his like 2 big.
Yeah. It's too sweet.
But then like at the last minute he's like, you know what, let's try this. And it kind of and then we played without our G-Maxes, and then he ended up getting the win even with less Pokemon, you know, because of confusion.
Yeah, that can happen, but yeah, that's kind of.
But that was another, whereas like, you know, you can kind of tell which way the game's gonna go, but because of our rule set, we've allowed it so you can then try to continue past the 20 minutes. So.
Yeah, for the rule set, I mean, obviously the first major point is if you can recreate the state of the battle, like that's your first priority.
Yeah, we could.
Yeah. Some things you can't, like, oh, I got a random scald burn, or oh, you know, my Ice Beam froze this Pokemon and whatever. Like, okay, fine. But
like,
I might also say like, oh, that Pokemon's frozen. Like, do you have a fire move you can use to like thaw it out? And oh, well then let's just say that Pokemon's dead. You know, like sure you can use it in for switch out fodder, but you know, so that should be rule number 1, and that's why we the ERC is here to kind of like overlook the match state if the coaches feel they can't recreate the point of the game that they were at when they went to time. And then, you know, we're also here for like, oh, emergency, you know, bannings. Not that I think that would ever happen, but like, spoiler alert, season 2, we're allowing certain legendary mythical Pokemon. You know, if for some reason Jirachi, which has never been legal in competitive doubles, is, you know, the most busted thing since, you know, sliced bread on toast, wheat, then, you know, we might have to emergency ban that and, you know, give compensation to the coach that drafted it or something. But, you know, that's just an example. Josh, did you have anything you wanted to say about the ERC or about, you know, breaking down the rules and the tiers for season 2?
No, I was a rather passive participant in the rules making.
You had some input on like the tiering though. I remember.
I'm not sure. I mean, I don't have any experience playing doubles at all, so I don't know that I could say or accurately rank like one Pokemon over another for the tiers.
Yeah. So, well, we're happy to have you as part of the rules committee, Josh. You know, it's good to have people with a lot of different points of views and everything and all that. So,
voice of reason.
What's that?
The voice of reason.
Yeah, there you go.
The scholar among
psychopaths off the ledge.
Well, the emergency rules committee will ban Jirachi and then emergency add on one of the DLC Pokemon as a replacement.
Yeah, that's another thing for those. The DLC's coming out, and we expect 4 weeks based on like the Pokemon giveaways that are going on right now. I expect after these 4 weeks of giveaways, the DLC is going to drop. But since our draft is going to take place before the DLC, and you know, I don't want people to have to work day and night trying to get these Pokemon if we did have the draft like a week or 2 after it. Any of the Pokemon that become available in Sword and Shield due to the DLC won't be legal.
Actually, you know, the DLC coming out in the middle of it will be nice, just because there'll be more raid Pokemon.
You'll be playing anyway a little bit at some extent.
Yeah,
there'll be more raid Pokemon to get candies from, because I'm kind of sick of catching the same Pokemon over and over again.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I'll be happy to have new raid Pokemon, get something different.
But yeah, it's nice to have like both of them kind of happening at the same time, right? Because I mean, we have like a couple of weeks after the draft before we actually start our weeks. So it'll be like around the time where we're supposed to be playing our first match, the DLC will probably drop. So it's going to be kind of that perfect storm where people are really going to be like back into playing Pokemon because, Pokemon doesn't have a post game. So, I mean, without this league, I probably would have dropped off of Pokemon like a lot sooner. So it's going to be nice to see what kind of effect how that DLC and kind of that second wind of, excitement toward Pokemon is going to have on this league in the first couple of weeks.
Oh, yeah. Did you guys see, I mean, we're kind of getting off topic here now, but 21 new moves were leaked for the DLC. Like, just their names were leaked, but, yeah, pretty interesting. So,
Like returning moves or brand new moves?
Brand new moves.
Okay.
Some of them, I mean, they might be like G-Max moves or something. Like, we don't know. They're just names that were added to the Pokemon home database that were found.
I think that probably just hints toward more like Galarian forms that we don't know about.
Oh, yeah. Those have to be more regional forms and then new Pokemon altogether.
I think that's what we kind of want, though, right? I mean, we can get some cool like new designs, but then if they give us like brand new Pokemon, then we're gonna kind of feel like they really just skimped on the base game. But if they give us like Galarian forms,
Galarian forms. Well, and then obviously the mythicals and everything.
Yeah. Are we getting like Galarian forms of like the original legendary birds?
Yeah.
Is that in this one?
I think they were in like, art or in the first trailer.
Yeah. Okay, so then the Reggies are probably gonna be in the second one.
Oh, I don't know which one. I don't know which one of the two they'll be in, but
because I know the second one is like there's gonna be like legendary raids.
Yeah.
I feel like they'd be in the second one because this one feels focused around that like Pokemon Dojo.
I mean, I'd be totally cool with just like only dropping the legendary birds along because they're calling that little fighting teddy bear a legendary or mythical that they say they want to be legal and competitive or something. I think the trailer kind of hinted at that. I was like, that's a little weird.
Also, it feels like a really big choice to like choose which one of the two evolutions you want. You only get one.
I mean, I'm kind of glad that what they did is they didn't make it like based off of what person you have. I know they did that with the kind of person that you met when they did that little teaser with this Galarian Slowpoke at the train station. But it's cool that you don't have to buy like Pokemon. You start with Shield, and then you're like, oh, I like the water one, like the fast fighting dude, but I can only get that in Shield or Sword. So I have to buy Sword and the DLC to get that. So I think that's kind of how they got around people having to pay an extra $90 as opposed to $30.
Yeah, true. So yeah, we kind of got off a little topic there, but it's good. It's good to talk about that because
excitement over Pokemon.
Everyone excited, yeah. New Pokemon to catch. Who doesn't love that? So we got a little mailbag segment here. You guys ever watch Blue's Clues? It's the mail.
About 20 plus years ago.
Those were the good old days, before Corona. All right. So this question comes from Facebook. What team for season 2 do you fear the most? So Tom, what coach do you not want to see during those like week 1? Who do you not want to face week 1 if you had to like nullify someone?
I'd probably say Devin because he's hit me up for a lot of advice on doubles and I've taught him a little too much already. So and there's a lot of things that he's really scheming that I'm scared of.
Oh really? Oh shoot.
I'll keep it that vague.
All right. So the 1 seed's trying to go back to back there, do well again. Josh, what about you?
Well, I mean, the Milotics are a known quantity to me, having played 2 times. So, like on one hand, I would say the Milotics, but also I think I would say the Detroit Steelix. Also, not to inflate anyone's egos here and to deflate another person's ego to my left. But being the Braviaries, of course.
Right. A lot of work you got to do to deflate that ego.
But yeah, I am concerned. I'm concerned that the Steelix took lessons from the first season and they're going to apply them in the second one.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'm going to go with the Steelix also. I think like the what Tom pointed out earlier about the Dracovish, Mimikyu, G-Max Lapras combo shows like a pretty good starting point. And not that the Steelix will have the same 3 Pokemon again, but that like they'll definitely be able to take advantage of doubles somehow.
Yeah, I mean, Lapras is definitely one of the best G-Max Pokemon to have in doubles.
Of course,
ability.
like I think
it's arguably the best one for doubles.
Since we have the since the Milotics are giving tips every week on doubles, I'd also have to say I'm probably equally concerned about that team, just because of the doubles experience that they bring to the table.
This is my time to shine.
So,
well, the Boston Braviers have been dropping some tips. Just saying that.
I haven't noticed.
Oh, yeah.
You don't have any? Did you post any? Did the Braviaries post any cool graphics? I mean, the Milotics did.
Whoa! I posted the best meme since Sunday. Tom, you know what I'm talking about. That was a good one. That was a good one. People,
but
go
you know what?
like
Maybe
the
one of
Boston Braviaries Facebook page, and you'll see what I'm talking about.
Maybe one of these 6 new teams will throw us for a loop.
Yeah.
That's the thing. I don't really know who any of the coaches are, but I'm sure after.
Wait, you invited 2 of them.
That's true. Well, I don't know how well.
I don't know these people I invited to the league.
I just asked everybody. No.
I
was so excited to grow this group.
Yeah, no, true. That's awesome. That's awesome. Yep. So, and our second question comes from the Discord group. How do you think 6v6 doubles will impact team building and the time limit? So I kind of go, that's kind of like 2 questions in one. For one, I'm just going to say with the time limit, we'll see. Like I said, mostly in doubles, you don't worry about it because it's, easier to knock Pokemon out in doubles, not barring like predictions and everything, because you're attacking with 2 things. 2 things into 1 thing kills quicker than 1 thing into 1 thing usually. Spread moves, etc. So we'll see. I don't expect it to be much of a factor. Will it happen? Sure. I think it will happen a few times, but I think it'll probably happen the same frequency that happened in season 1. Out of like now that we got 16 teams, it's gonna be like almost 200 games being played throughout the entire season. Maybe it'll happen 5 or 6 times. Tom, you probably have more experience on that.
Yeah, I mean, I think we will probably experience more of a time crunch, depending on how bulky people build kind of their mons in the back, I guess. But I'm going to be very interested to see how people approach team building doing 6v6, because either they will, double down on their strategy, or they will try to have kind of like 2 different axes that they can.
I think it's going to be that second point that you said, because I see like a lot of VGC teams like, okay, I lead off with like something kind of like fast and like annoying or aggressive at first, and then I got my Trick Room setter in the back,
Yeah. Well, another thing is I could see Trick Room being like a lot worse, right? Because picking 4 Pokemon as opposed to 6 Pokemon, that time constraint that you put yourself under.
Yeah, you only get 4 turns to do it,
And there's no way to extend Trick Room like there is like other weather conditions. Like you can like, Icy Rock, so Hail goes 7.
So you might need to bring like 2 Trick Room setters on your team. So now 2 out of your 6 have to be set up Pokemon, or like maybe 2 sweepers or something. You got a couple like more supporter packs.
Like a lot of 4v4, what they do is they try to go like, these are my 2 in the back, these are my 2 in the front. And I think a lot of the times you'll find that like if they disrupt a certain game plan, you're not able to get your two in the back end at the same time.
Right.
So I think that your 6v6 is going to allow you. It's going to be more forgiving for you to kind of like rearrange that second starting lineup, I guess, right? Like your second down team during the match. So it's going to be interesting to see how many 2 Pokemon kind of synergies you're able to cram into those 6 Pokemon.
Yeah. But I mean, if you look at the tier list, I think once you get like out of B tier, it's like, oh, what synergies are there? Like 4 out of your 10 Pokemon are going to be from
building is what I'm most looking forward to.
Yeah.
Just to see what people come up with C tier mons.
Yeah.
I think it's hard to say anyway, because I mean, look, you have 10 Pokemon, so like maybe you play 2 games with the same team and it doesn't go to time, but then you start switching Pokemon in and out, and it's like then you start making you completely change your strategy, and the games go to time more often, or even like pick up free agents and release Pokemon. That could totally change things too. Like I feel like my season 1 is obviously singles is a lot different, but I feel like my season 1 changed a lot once I dropped Pokemon that I wasn't using and added in like Vanillux and drew them to my lineup.
Yeah, I mean, I started with a Trick Room singles team. Like that's how much I knew about singles. It was just I was like, this didn't work after like the first week. Like it didn't work the way I wanted.
Your initial draft team was very odd, Tom.
Yeah.
Like Clefairy and stuff.
Yeah, and then as every single week, I think I did some sort of trade or some sort of free agent pickup, and then I felt like once we got to the last week, my team really kind of found its placement.
Yeah, that's kind of same thing with my season. Like I remember like the first half of the season, like I did really well the first half of the season. Then I kind of like had this skid when I actually started facing like the top teams. Like I started losing to the top teams. And I was like, what's wrong with my team? And my team was very bulky, so it could take hits, but I had no way to like throw them back. So I did the key switch was I dropped Grimmsnarl and picked up Dragapult because Dragapult was a free agent. And
yeah, Dragapult, like I think if you didn't have Dragapult against me, I would have been a lot less scared.
Oh yeah, no, Dragapult got me like 3 KOs every game after that. Like the first game in the playoffs or against Devin in the Detroit Steelix in the finals, I think it got like 4 KOs in that first game.
No, Dragapult
it didn't do much in the other 2, but that first one, he won that game by itself.
And I think Dragapult actually gets better in doubles.
Oh yeah, because you can do like support Dragapult as well. Like,
or you can follow me and make it so your Dragapult is hit.
I think the fact that support moves will be a lot more relevant in doubles might also affect the timer. And since there's no limits on baton pass this time, I feel like that could mess with things too.
Yeah, but the limits on baton pass weren't crazy for singles, and I think it's a lot more dangerous in singles to be baton passing. So, I mean, the only limit we had was that you can't pass speed with other things, but you could have a sub use agility with a Pokemon and then baton pass into something that could Swords Dance. Like there were ways you could get multiple boosts behind the sub or sign in singles, which I think is a lot more powerful, but people didn't do it. So
I'll say I considered it with Drift Blim there, since he had all the right moves, but didn't go for it. Strength sap too many times.
Well, I think in doubles too, you get twice as much opportunity to like use moves like phase and stuff. So I think singles, it's a lot easier to kind of get away with, all these stat boosts and then baton pass because it's a lot more of like a claustrophobic game, right? It's just 1v1.
Yeah.
But now that you're
I gotta switch out to get my Hazer or my Whirlwind in here right now, and that loses me momentum. When in doubles, at least you're still attacking or doing something with one Pokemon if you got to switch out or something.
And the G-Max Pokemon becomes so much more important because every single move has like a secondary effect that its effect that it has on the game is doubled.
Yeah.
Like if you do a max airstream, both of your Pokemon get speed boost. All the special defense drops, they're things that people often overlook, but every drop like counts and every buff counts.
Yeah. And I have to say, like those G-Max moves make a difference. When I realized that Dreadnaught's G-Max Rockfall set Stealth Rocks, I was like, I gotta do this every game now instead of just beyond Stealth Rocks by themselves.
Yeah, I noticed like when planning for you, I looked through all the weeks and every single time you started with G-Max Dreadnought. So that's why I started with someone that would knock it out.
So that was our mailbag, guys.
Weren't there 2 questions there?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, I kind of touched on the timer question, just like it's a wait and see sort of thing. I mean, Josh, did you have anything you want to say about?
No, I forgot what the second question was. I forgot what the.
It was what? Yeah, it was the timer and the 6v6. Yeah, so Did you guys have anything else you wanted to add before we close out the podcast?
I'm just looking forward to drafting. I'm really excited to see
In a
how
couple weeks.
16 teams and 16 picks before your next pick is going to affect the draft.
And I just want to say, I think it's something fun to do. It's not a big time commitment, just one game a week. I don't know. I mean, so thanks. Put it together, Commissioner.
Yeah, no, thank you guys. I mean, I'd just be one guy playing Pokemon if it weren't for all of you. So.
It does make the investment in the money investment in Pokemon.
Yeah, right. You're $60.
Since I would have totally stopped playing after that one tournament that you had at your place in December. So
awesome.
It's good to keep playing.
Yeah. So like I said, 2 weeks away from our, draft for season 2. We'll be coming back with a second podcast episode. I'm hoping to get some of the new coaches who didn't play in last season on here. So we'll get some fresh blood, some fresh takes before we hop into the draft. And yeah, thanks everybody for coming to the first ever Sordward and Shielbert Spectacular Podcast.
Play on.